Hey peeps, welcome to another video. It's part 2 of the McCalls 6696 shirt dress sew along, and we'll be French seaming the sleeves in, we'll be adding the waistband, and I talk you through how I do top stitching. Let's get started. So after having finished the side seams, the next thing I want you to do is finish off the armholes or put in the sleeves. So we're doing the short sleeve version, so I will be adding a couple of rows of E-stitching between the two small circles which I have marked on my sleeve pattern. So I've inserted the 2 rows of E-stitching between the 2 small dots that they wanted me to do, done that on both sleeves. Now the next step that the instructions want you to do is stitch the sleeve seam together here, matching the notches. I'm going to do that as a French seam again, so again you want to pin your fabric wrong sides together first. Okay, so with both of these sleeves with the wrong sides stitched pinned together, I'm going to sew at 1/4 inch on both of these seams. So both seams are sewn at 1/4 inch. I am now going to trim this down by half so that I have 1/8 inch left, and then press. Okay, so trim the seam allowance down, then turn them inside out, pressed the seams like that, and I'm now going to sew at 3/8 inch, or just under 3/8 inch on both seams. So both the French seams are now done, so that's a clean finish on the inside of the dress. I'm going to go press this from the other side, press the seams to the back, and then I can finish the edge. So now that we've sewn the sleeve seam together, it now wants us to hem the actual sleeve. For this one it wants you to turn it up twice and stitch it down, but I am going to use Waistbanding to finish the edge of mine, and I'm going to use this to finish the hem as well. Okay, so we're on to the second page of instructions. This one is all the longer sleeves with the little cuffs on them, so we're going to move down to here, and it wants you to attach the sleeve to the shoulder, to the arm side, and see you have to match all the notches, use the E-stitching that you did to gather it in at the top, making sure that there's no puckers. I'm actually going to sew mine with French seams, so we're going to do it a little bit differently. Okay, so again what you want to do is pin the wrong side of the bodice to the wrong side of the sleeve. You want to match up your notches as I've done there, so that's the front here and the double notch at the back, and the top of the shoulder seam here, that gets matched up with the big circle that was on top of your shoulder. Then you want to pull your E-stitching so that you can ease in all the fullness around the shoulder cap. And then because we're doing a French seam again, you're going to sew that at 1/4 inch. Okay, so everything's sewn down at 1/4 inch, and I'm now going to go around and trim everything and then press it. Okay, so trimmed the seam allowance, pressed everything down. I've now pinned everything, which I don't usually do with these kind of seams in this fabric, but I want to make sure everything's going to stay in place because you don't want any tucks in this portion of the sleeve. So I'm now going to sew it with 3/8 inch seam allowance. We have a beautifully attached sleeve, and it is all nice and neat on the insides as well. So just need to repeat that for the other side. Okay, so the next step that it wants you to do is to work on the waistband. Now I don't put the carriers on because I don't make belts to go with this, and I don't want to wear it with a belt, and I don't think Mia does either. So we're going to get straight to step 25, and so that is the interfaced waistband portion with the markings and the notches on it. With the right sides together, pin that band to the lower edge of the bodice, matching the symbols and squares to the side seams, adjusting the gathers, and then you've got to baste it down. Now because I took the gathers out and put a pleat in, we're going to need to put a pleat in at the bottom as well. So I've pinned the waistband, interfaced waistband piece to the bodice, and I've matched the gathering points on this, and then I marked the centre of both the bodice and the waistband, and I've matched those up, then measured the depth of the pleats at the top, so these bits, and I've put in my first pleat, which is this one here, and then obviously because there's more gathering, or there was more fabric to be gathered down at the bottom, it just formed a second pleat in there, so that way all the excess fabric is in there, but it's all neatly tucked away behind the actual pleat, but there's still all that ease of movement allowed, which is the point of that extra piece. So the next thing that the pattern wants you to do is take your uninterfaced waistband and press up the seam allowance, or just under the seam allowance, on the bottom edge. So the double notch is the bit that attaches to the waist, to the bodice, and this is the bit that attaches to the skirt. So I'm going to go press that now. Okay, so I have folded over and pressed the seam allowance on the inner waistband, or the waistband facing as they call it. I've actually done it slightly under 5/8 of an inch. It's purely and simply because I want this to be slightly longer than the other waistband, because rather than slip stitch it down as the pattern requires, I'm going to top stitch it down, and I want to ensure that all of this gets caught and there are no bits that get left out. So I find that if this is a little bit longer than the actual bit that I'm sewing on top of, that definitely happens. So the pattern actually calls for you to baste this one on before you sew this one on, but I think that is a waste of time. So once I've pinned this in place and got my centre pleats or centre gathers sorted, I then pin on the facing waistband, right side of the waistband to wrong side of the bodice, and that way the bodice is sandwiched between two waistband pieces. Then I'm going to sew that on at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Threads everywhere. Right, so I have got the waistbands attached to the bodice. I have pressed everything down, and I am now going to top stitch along this edge here, because it's going to be decorative, and it's going to this one's actually going to be decorative, but it just means that when I top stitch this one down, which will be what catches this to the skirt portion, then it'll be balanced. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. So for now the bodice is done. I have done the top stitching around there. The only other thing that I did is I stay stitched at 3/8 of an inch around the neckline, just so that that doesn't get stretched out when we're manhandling the dress. So yeah, now time to start working on the skirt. So I hope that was useful. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!